Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Welcome to another season review. I haven't done one of these for about 3 weeks now. I did the Dragons one 3 weeks ago and then I stopped doing them. I decided to do a couple other videos and live streams the last couple of weeks, but we're back for some more 2021 season reviews, and tonight we're going to be reviewing the Canberra Raiders 2021 season. They finished the year in 10th position. They had a disappointing year, the Raiders. My preseason predictions for them at the start of 2021, I had Canberra finishing as minor premiers, and that prediction was a complete fail. They had a disappointing season, as we all know. But before I get into the 2021 season review for the Raiders, make sure you guys go ahead and like this video. Comment your thoughts on the Raiders season in the comment section below. And most importantly, guys, hit the subscribe button. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. But without further ado, let's get into the 2021 NRL season review for the Green Machine, the Canberra Raiders. And they finished the season off in 10th position on the competition ladder. A record of 10 wins and 14 losses. They did equal 8th on the ladder, but they didn't make it due to the for and against. And all they had to do to make the finals was beat the Roosters in the final round, which they were beaten quite comfortably, I should say, by the Roosters, who've had a lot of injuries, obviously, in 2021. A disappointing year for the Green Machine. But let's go through their season. So they started off the year well. They beat the Tigers in round 1. Round 2, and just held on against the Sharks down there on a Sunday night game. They had led 31-10 against the Warriors and let that game go 34-31. That was a disappointing night, or this disappointing afternoon, I should say, for the Raiders. Round 4, the Raiders had a good win against the Gold Coast. That game was meant to be played at the Gold Coast, actually, and then due to the virus spreading all over Gold Coast and all that, and all over Australia, they had to move that game to Kogarah, where the Raiders got the win over the Titans there, 20 points to 4. Round 5, the Raiders had a disappointing loss on a Friday night to Penrith, 30 points to 10. They were beaten there. Round 6, they were smashed by Parramatta in Canberra, 35 points to 10. Round 7, I believe they played. They lost to the Cowboys. They led 24-6, and they lost to the Cowboys 26-24. Round 8, they lost to the Rabbitohs in a game where they could have won, but they were beaten 34 points to 20 on the Thursday night. Round 9, Canberra led 16-0 against Newcastle and got done 24-16. Then we get to Magic Round, where this was pretty much do or die for Canberra. They had to turn the season around here because things were going really bad for Canberra. And at Magic Round, which I was at, they beat the Bulldogs 20 points to 18 on a Saturday afternoon game. A scrappy game of football from memory. I was there, and Canberra ended up getting up in a real tight one. They were pretty lucky to win the game, but it was a win that they definitely needed to get. Round 11, they were flogged by Melbourne 34-10. Round 12, they were flogged by the Roosters 44-16. At this stage of the season, Canberra looked gone. They had the bye in round 13. Round 14, they had to get a win, and they beat the Broncos 38-16. A much-needed result there for the Raiders. They had to win that game. Then they played the Dragons in round 15. They led 20 points. They had a lead. I think it was 20-8. Yeah, the Raiders led 20 points to 8. About 10 minutes to go, and the Dragons came back and beat them 22-20. Another game where they just blew. And then they were flogged by the Gold Coast 44-6. A real disappointing game there. Round 17, they beat Manly, who were under strength. Obviously, all the Origin stars were out, but they got a win. Then they beat the Sharks in round 18, so 2 in a row for the Raiders. And then they beat the Eels, so they won 3 in a row at this point. The Raiders, everyone thought they were coming for that top 8. Then they were beaten by Newcastle 34-24 in round 20. Round 21, they beat the Dragons 20-12. Wasn't a pretty win for them, but they got the job done. Round 22, they were beaten by Melbourne by 10. They lost by 1 point to Manly, which was a painful defeat for the Green Machine. Round 24, they bounced back and beat the Warriors by 12. And in the final round, all they had to do was beat the Roosters, and they were beaten 40 points to 16. They were blown out of the park. I believe Canberra were in that game, actually. I'm just having a look here. Yeah, Canberra were in that game. I think at half-time, the Roosters were only winning by about a try. I think it was like 18 18-10 or 18-12 or something, 16-10. The Raiders were in that game, and then in the second half, the Roosters just went roughshod on them. Adam Curran got a hat-trick, and the Raiders, really disappointing year for the Raiders. Expected much more from them. Unfortunately for them, it was a really, really disappointing year. Let's have a look at some of their players who I thought were good and bad this year. So we'll go through it. So some of their big name players, so we'll go through their roster actually. Jarrod Croker. Disappointing season from Jarrod Croker. He's one of the captains at the club. He's been at Canberra his entire career, and Jarrod Croker just continues to get injuries. He gets slower. It seems like the game at the moment, with how quick it is, it's like it's gotten past Jarrod Croker. The game has sped up, and he can't keep up with it. So Jarrod Croker had a disappointing year for mine. Emre Gula was decent. I thought he played pretty well for him. Corey Harawira was good. Josh Hodgson had a disappointing season for his standards. He didn't play at his best. I thought Corey Horsburgh was okay when he was fit. Sebastian Kris did some really good things, but he had one bad game and he got dropped from Ricky Stewart. So I'm not sure where Sebastian Kris is at with the Raiders, if he's on good terms there or not. But I think he's a very exciting centre coming through. So I think they should keep the faith in Sebastian Kris. Really good kid. Dunamis Lui had a bit of a quiet year, I reckon, for Dunamis Lui. Charles Nickel Clocksdale was injured majority of the year, but when he came back, thought he played really well at the back end of the year for the Raiders. The Raiders really missed him a lot this year. I thought he came back at the back end of the year and played really well. I thought Josh Papali'i had a really quiet year. His last 2 years, 2019, 2020, probably the best prop in the game, if not in the top 3. This year, I don't think Josh Papali'i was even in the top 5 props in the game. I thought he was really quiet for his standards. I expect much better from Josh Papali'i. He's a quality player. He needs to be doing more for the Raiders. The Raiders had a poor year, there's no doubt about it. But Josh Papali'i is one of the senior players there now. And, if Josh Papali'i is having a quiet year, then, it's really surprising for the Raiders. So Josh Papali'i needs to have a big year next year, because I thought he was disappointing in 2021. But I reckon he can get back to his best real quick. Jordan Rapana, I thought he had a great season. Jordan Rapana played a lot of fullback this year. Obviously played more games on the wing, but he was good at fullback. He wasn't great, I would say, but he did some good stuff at fullback there. I don't think he's a great fullback by any means, but he did some good stuff at fullback. Don't get me wrong, he did some terrible stuff at fullback, but I thought Jordan Rapana had a really good season for the Raiders. Xavier Savage, another young kid to look out for. I thought he played well. Curtis Scott, not really much to say about Curtis Scott. I thought he was average. Bailey Simonson, thought he had a breakout year for the Raiders. I thought he was outstanding. Harley Smith-Shields looked pretty good when he was there. Soliola was okay, but he was getting older. Tom Starling was good. Joseph Tarpany, thought Tarpany was good, but could have been better. Definitely could have been better. Matthew Tomoko was okay. Semi Volame was meh. Elliot Whitehead, I thought he was probably one of their best. I thought he was outstanding, Elliot Whitehead. George Williams, he was playing really well for Canberra. And then, obviously, the incident with Ricky Stewart, where the mental health thing came into it, and the Raiders sacked George Williams, and he went back to England, and he had that. George Williams had that fallout with that bald idiot, James Hooper. So it sucks for George Williams. I thought he was a big loss when he was out. When he left, I should say. Sam Williams was terrible. Matt Frawley was terrible. Hudson Young was good as well, but does some really, really silly things at times. If I had to pick out a best and worst player for Canberra, I would say the Raiders' best player would probably have to be Elliot Whitehead for mine, and maybe Simonson and Rapana. Thought they were very good for the Raiders. Their worst player, well, I think Jarrod Croker probably goes up there, but I've got to say Jack Wighton for mine. I'm a big fan of Jack Wighton. I think he's a very good player, but I thought Jack Wighton's year this year was extremely disappointing. He had a fantastic year in 2020, won the Dally M, had an incredible year that year, also in 2019 as well. But as for this year, he had a backwards season, and I thought he was really poor. Josh Papali'i was really poor. I love Papali'i. I think he's fantastic, but he had a quiet year. So, look, I think their worst player was probably Jarry Croker, obviously. I think he was disappointing. And their best player, I'd have to say probably Elliott Whitehead, was probably one of their best. The Raiders' best win of the season and their worst loss of the season. So there was a few of them for Canberra that obviously stand out. But if I had to pick out their worst performance of the season, I've got to go to that game in round 16 against the Gold Coast Titans. They were beaten in Canberra, 44 points to 6 against the Gold Coast. That's so disappointing, man. Really poor loss there from in round 16. So I'd have to say a loss against the Gold Coast in round 16 and the loss against the Warriors in round 3 was probably their worst performances of the year as well. Their best win of the season, there was a couple of really good wins for Canberra this year. I'd have to say the Raiders' best win of the season was probably the game in round 19 against Parramatta up there at Cbus Super Stadium where they beat the Eels 12-10. A real low-scoring grind and defensive game. And they had to win, otherwise the season was pretty much over. And they had to keep winning, and they did win, and it was probably one of their best wins of the season, to be honest. I also reckon the one against against Cronulla in round 18 was another good result for the Raiders, but I'd have to say round 3 and round 16 against the Gold Coast, probably their worst games, and their best wins, probably the ones against Cronulla in round 18 and round 19 against Parramatta. Obviously, the Raiders, for mine, they would be the most disappointing team for the 2021 NRL season. Next year is going to be interesting for Canberra to see how they go. They picked up Jamal Fogarty in the off-season already, which is going to be a great signing for them, you would think. But you would think next year Canberra would be aiming for the top 8 again. You'd think they'd be around that 5th to 12th position. That would be their aim, you'd think, probably 5th to 12th. Canberra were top 4 in 2019 and in 2020. But this year they would... Actually, no, 2020 they finished 5th. But they're normally around that 4th, 5th position the last 2 years. And this year was a really bad year for them. So you'd think next year that they would aim for 4th to 11th at least for the Raiders, you know. So the disappointing year for the Green Machine. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in 2022. But as I sign off for this review, the Canberra Raiders are the most disappointing team of the 2021 NRL season. There is no doubt about it. They were expected to be top 4 at the start of 2021. They ended up finishing 10th, missed the finals overall. Really poor season from them. A lot of the big name players did not have a good year, and it's disappointing. But guys, that's it for the Canberra Raiders 2021 season review. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, stay safe, have a good night, see you later.